Break it down.
Hey everybody, we are back with Midwest Chicana podcast and we're so excited to have everybody. This is a very special segment because we have some amazing, phenomenal women here that are going to tell a little bit about everything. I mean, we're going from Chicano movement to LGBTQIA, Pride Parade, Arts Tech, everything you could think of in here to discuss. So I am not going to delay any of this. And I'm Diana Munoz and we're excited to have you. And I'm going to pass the mic.
I'm Lexi Rios. I'm the marketing manager for Latinx Education Collaborative and Latino Arts Foundation.
Rosalinda Aviles.
Sue Moreno.
Celia Ruiz.
So let's sorry, we're using a mic this time, but let's get started. So first of all, you all were part of the Cheech event that happened at Nelson, and let's just kind of kick it off there because that was such an amazing, phenomenal event that my family got to experience. So whoever wants to begin, let's just kind of talk about that and then we'll kind of deep dive into everything.
And we have pictures too.
Yes, we have pictures.
Oh, great. Well, it was an honor spending the day with Cheech from California. He was on a special invitation for him speaking to Kansas City to a sold out crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And as one of the artists, there was 21 Latino artists from here that were exhibited in the Layered Presence exhibit at the Nelson. It's going to be there for a year. And he came and he spent time with each individual artist that whole afternoon. And we talked to him personally about our art. And he talked with us and was just real encouraging and also very funny. It was hysterical. And then that night he presented. And what did you think of it?
Yeah, so I was very excited to be there. Yes, and I appreciate how he talked about that people know him from, Cheech and Chong.
Mm-hmm.
But like that was like the slightest of the mentioning, because then everything else turned into, the museum art, what that art means, what his journey was. And like, for me, it was just exciting to see that there really is this whole other world. And like maybe as artists, we see people in this one light, but there is so much more behind it. So I thought it was really cool just to see everything else. And again, that Cheech and Chong joke bit was the tiniest little bit because there was so much more to learn.
Yeah, he had so many dimensions to his, as an artist, as a movie star, as a singer. That was something I didn't know. Also a pottery maker. And, there were so many things about him that I didn't know. He has done a lot.
He is amazing.
He's done a lot.
He's been in our history, and it was just so good to have him reaffirm what we stand for and what we're doing nowadays, presently, and how far he's come to be able to put Chicano art in a place of just the, oh, look, there we okay. That shirt that Rosalinda made both of us. Look, we were hanging out with Cheech in the green room. We went back there to the green room.
It was a green room, but it's yellow. No.
Yeah, I know.
But, did you make the shirt you're wearing on that too?
I did. Yeah, the shirt that Sue is wearing is, it's to me, it's like Chicano art. We have the Mexican roots, but since being born here, we also have that Chicanoism in our art. And I think that showed in a lot of artists as well that presented there, as well as Cheech,
Yeah,
so it was amazing.
It was really cool because it was a matter of the reception that we went to with him and the people that came with him, and the Kansas City Museum was incredible about being inclusive and inviting people and making sure that we had everything we needed. But I just really want to emphasize how much he impressed on how important representation is and how important it is that we keep taking a stand as Chicanos, because, it was back in the 70s and the 60s when this started, and Rosalinda and
I was very young.
Yeah, and you know, all of us experience something different, and even though we're all the same group, we're Mexican American or Chicano, we all have different backgrounds. So that's what was really cool about that. And he was phenomenal.
Because I didn't even do the intros, so that's a great segue into tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do. And I know a lot of you are doing many things, so let's kind of dive into all of those pieces because that's very much a part of who we are. So.
Okay, I am retired, but I used to work with the Kansas City Public Schools, is where I met Sue Moreno, and so you know, being around a lot of the children who live in this area, it was to me it's real important for them to learn about different aspects of being Chicano, even though that word is hardly used anymore. But that's what I grew up on, and to be proud and to understand how hard people before them worked to make sure that they went to school and got a great education. But yeah, that's just part of it, though. I was very influenced at a young age, so. But anyway, I'm going to pass it on because this is a mentor to me, Miss Sue Moreno.
Oh,
She's
thank you.
amazing. I love her, and she does great art.
Thank you, Rosalinda. I invited these two friends of mine here, Celia. She'll tell you about herself pretty soon, but I just love a powerful women that make a difference in our community. And to me, these are the two that I thought of, and you, Deanna, and a lot of the women in our area. But it's really important that we pass that on to the young people. I worked at Northeast High School too in the Kansas City, Missouri public schools, and really saw how important it was. My dad had a third grade education, second generation, you know, here. And so that word Chicano, which really, the definition for me, which I thought was interesting, because I finally accepted it when I went to college, and my older sister was involved in the Chicano movement up at the University of Iowa and fighting on campus. There was only 10 Mexican Americans on campus at the University of Iowa in 1975, and they had a federal law saying that they had to recruit more. So they came to the different high schools. They went to Chicago, Colorado, different places, and started recruiting. Otherwise, I would have never gone to college. And so the influence that the Chicano movement had on me was amazing. I'm an artist also, and part of the development of an area called Womantown here in Kansas City. Yeah. And I'll talk about that more later, but I want to pass it on to Celia.
Yeah. All right. So I kind of learned, actually, I got this word to describe what I do for my partner. So in Spanish, it's called metiche. So like busybody, I guess that's yeah. So like, I don't know what else I think usually whenever I do my introduction is like, so what do you do? I'm like, I stay busy. It's pretty much my answer. But I guess officially like stuff that I do. So I work for United Healthcare in our social determinants of health department. Social determinants of health means that there are things outside of our doctor's appointment that affect our health. Long list of stuff. So that's my daytime job. But I was also appointed to the LGBTQ Commission for the city of Kansas City, Missouri, appointed to the Municipal Art Commission here for KCMO. I'm board chair for Artist Mentorship. So if you guys know Enrique Chi and making movies, so Artist Mentorship. And then I don't know, I stay also 3 Night Healthcare. I do mental health first aid, which is like, I love all of that. But then I saw Sue recently, and I've seen a couple of others recently over at the Casey Current games. And actually, I ran into somebody earlier this morning. I was doing my work stuff, and they're like, "Hey, Sally, I just saw your picture somewhere here, and I saw you somewhere here, and I heard that you're working at the Current too." And I'm like, so like I'm saying this here, but at the Current Stadium, I'm not Celia. I'm not the Celia. Like I'm the welcome. Woo.
Oh yeah, you were good at it, because I was like, hey,
yes. And so then for me, like that is my break. I'm not talking about mental health. That is my mental health. to listen to some good music from the DJ, tell people, oh, here's your ticket, come on in, and let me see your band, VIP area, like, let me see your band and come into this area, whatever. But so it's a mix of all of those things. But I think anything that I do decide to do is, I've gotten to the age where like it's something I want to do. If I don't want to do something, like I don't. I'm still playing with that. So I want to be like completely like I figured it out, because I sometimes do things that I don't want to do. But that's my goal. And right now, like these are things that I enjoy and I want to do.
Good for you.
Well, that's what's cool, because Rosalinda got me involved in, we're both retired recently. And we do what we want to do, and we don't do what we don't want to do. So we go to the gym because self-care is really important. There's a new program. What's that place called? Optum. And it's free. You have to be 55 or older to go there, but it's free, and it's really a cool place. We were stretching, yoga, everything, and everything's free, so it's nice. But I just think that it's important that we get together here and talk about what's going on in the community for, I mean, the Chicanas and Chicanos we're popping it off now, especially with May coming up. April, there's a lot of events, so we're going to start talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll give it to you. Any questions?
I think I would like to know, like, what is like a specific time in your life that kind of defined you and how you identify as Chicana?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Identity.
Very deep.
Identity. In
Very
fact,
deep question.
That's very deep and a good question. In fact, there's an art show coming up at the Interurban Art, and that's what it's called, Identity. And so I've been thinking about that. And I remember in 7th grade, I started, that's when you start getting little titties. And you say that on here, little bud. Then you start, getting like good body. Sorry. Hey, we're keeping it real, And you start noticing things, you're changing your body and things like that. And it's like, I'm like, what? And all my friends were going after these little boys and everything. And I was like, I just loved my friends. So I, all the way, even when I was young, my mom, you beat to a different drum, you're different. And I was like, wasn't wrong. I didn't get punished for it, but it wasn't like acknowledged. So that's when I started realizing that I was, had an attraction to one specific, I love my brothers, I love men, but I really love some women. So I wanted to be that lifestyle, but they didn't have a name for it back then in the days.
No.
And then also my mother was always doing crafts with us. And so I knew that I was going to be an artist.
That's great.
Always doing crafts, making weird little eggs, those kind you crack over your head at Easter and,
Coscones.
Yeah, I love those. Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
He supported in you being an artist?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my mother was. She was just as long as I was getting out of the house and leaving, going somewhere, doing something. Went up to the University of Iowa because I was supposed to go to hair school. I didn't even comb my own hair. Yeah, it was naturally wavy curly. I was like, oh Lord, I'm gonna be curling these people's hair. Because in high school they tracked you.
Yes,
like I didn't even, because they said you either had to be a secretary, hairdresser, or a receptionist.
Wow.
Yes.
And so
I
we
would
were
have hated that if that would have been back in my day. I would have
no
hated that.
college, no college.
No college.
You learned how to sew. You were in there. On a sewing machine.
I knew how to sew, but I wouldn't want to be forced into it.
Like, if you broke away from that, what happened? Like, if you're like, I'm not doing that, I'm just,
Then you didn't come to school.
wow.
You weren't allowed into body mechanics or auto mechanic classes. You weren't allowed. You had to go to cooking class, home economics, learn how to type, and learn how to do some hair and take care of yourself.
Cosmetology
Yeah.
is the big thing.
And how to be a good wife.
Yes.
There you go.
I know. It's like, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time period. But I still enjoyed it. And I went out for sports. That's how I really got involved into school, because otherwise I hated it. Yeah. And I did shot put and discus, because of course no female wants to do that.
I tried that.
Yeah, I
didn't go very far.
that was the butch in me. I was like, And I loved it. And then I got to be on the bus with all the girls. You know, we travel places, and then they recruited us for the first scholarships for women in athletics in 1975.
Wow.
So I was involved in that at the University of Iowa and participated. Yeah, but it was great. So go ahead. What about you? You know.
Okay,
I know you got a
well,
story. Everybody's got a
I
story.
have a story. I think my biggest influence came from the Chicano movement, actually. And it was probably in like 1971, 72. I was like 10, probably about 11, 12, which is very young. But I used to write my cousin in Texas, and I used to write the Chicano Power and Viva la
That's
Raza.
phenomenal right now. That's part of history right
That's
there.
That
part,
is
and then
so
we did a
cool.
walkout. I remember that I was in 7th grade and we were going to do a walkout. So the Chicano movement did come to Kansas City, and it was at 10 o'clock. All the Chicanos in school were supposed to walk out in high school. I was in 7th grade. So there was only like 20, 30 people in our classroom, and it was me and this girl named Sandra Perez. And we're looking at each other. I was like, we saw the clock ticking and it said 10. I said, let's go. And we ran out and we ran down to the west side. And that's where they all met. That's where the parade started. And it was all for having equal rights in Chicano history at that time. But we were also protesting against the grapes, the La Huelga. So we didn't eat grapes. We didn't eat the lettuce for the farm workers. And so I boycotted Safeways, not to do that. But I was very young. I don't know where that energy came from, but it was something that I identified with because I didn't see anybody like that around. And then maybe a couple of years later, Cesar Chavez did come to Kansas City, to Penn Valley, and I got to meet him.
You got to meet him.
I got to meet him, and I have a picture, but I don't know where it is. I got to look for it. And Tejarina, which is also somebody that was a real influential person in that time during the movement. So that really influenced me a lot. Yeah, a lot. I wear the brown beret.
We're going to talk more about it, especially the beret.
Yeah, the beret is the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
The original.
So, yeah.
Cool. So on the question, when did that moment that we found out our identity? So they're thinking of two things. So one, when I found my moment, I will say that one of these moments was actually documented. So another thing I kind of did was that I'm a part of the exhibit in the Kansas City Museum.
Yes.
So on the
That's
third
right.
floor, it's Kansas City Together, I think is the name of the exhibit. And so then it's a story about like 8 individuals.
Eight. Only 8 people were selected
Yeah.
from
Wow.
Kansas City, and you were one of them. It's a beautiful photograph.
It's
Yes.
up right now, yeah.
Yes.
So on the third floor, there's no cost to enter the Kansas City Museum here in the Northeast area, or whatever official name it has here in the neighborhood. For me, it's Northeast off of Gladstone. But so then I answered this question because that question was asked as a part of the exhibit. So one thing that identified my moment was coming out as well. And so then it's huge. Once you can say outwardly, this is it. And so then definitely that was one moment as far as my identity moment. But then going back to a younger age, I think it was being told what I wasn't.
Oh,
Because
good point.
when I remember, so then I'm first generation, my family, Guanajuato, Mexico, we're the first that were born here on the east side. We're from a newer wave of immigrants here in Kansas City. There's definitely a way newer one, but we were one of the newer ones where, and this is what it was. This is what my mom would say. You want friends? There's your sisters. You want a party? There's a quinceañera. There is a baptism, bautizo, quinceañera, boda, and then it ends up being everybody from our rancho, our little town in Mexico. Because basically that whole little town moved here to Kansas City. So I'm not it's a very small town mind sometimes, But some people, I'm okay, I'm cool with or whatever.
We
But
might be cousins because my family's from Guanajuato as well.
oh, really?
Mine is too.
Really?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Cousins.
Cousins. There is a lot of Guanajuato here. There's a lot of Guanajuato.
Yes.
There's also a lot of Chihuahua. I mean, there's just lots. Yes. Oh, I need to tell you the whole rancho because there's a big Guanajuato people here. But so when I was younger, that's what we grew up. It was Spanish. It was go to Mexico. It was come back here. That was our circle. And so then going to school, and it would be like, I don't know if the question was, what are you? Where are you from? Whatever questions they ask. They'd be like, I'm Mexican. And they were like, are you born here? I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, you're not Mexican. You're American. And I'm like, but like, look at me. Like, my name is Celia Ruiz Calderon. Like, and they're like, you're American. And so then you go to another space, and it would, they'd say like, and then in Spanish, ¿De dónde eres? ¿Cuándo llegaste? Where are you from? When did you get here? And I was like, well, technically, ta, 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 ta. And so then while, Chicano has, its definition, its strength, its identity, for me, I was stuck to Mexican. Like that's what I am. And I think another little piece that a moment in life where I'm like this is who I am. So if your parents are born in Mexico and you're born here, you can get your double nationality, dual citizenship.
Yeah.
And so then when I was younger, I remember telling someone in my family, I want to do my dual citizenship. Mm-hmm. And what I heard from an adult in my family was, en vez de ir para adelante, vas para atrás. Instead of going forward, you're going backwards.
Oh.
And so then it was very discouraging. And I'm like, okay, I won't do it, I guess. Yeah. I mean, words have influence, right? And so then I guess not. So it wasn't, I had to think, I don't know how many years ago it was, but within the last 10 years, I can't think when it was, I did it. And so when basically me now doing it by myself as an adult, that meant that when I was going to Mexico to go visit and family and whatever, I was going to the Registro Civil, to the city office, what do you call it? Health department-ish type stuff, wherever you would go. That meant going to get the copies of the birth certificates and marriage certificates of all these people. So then I could come back downtown here to 16th and Baltimore. And so then for me, that was a special day because whatever anybody says, I am a Mexican citizen with Mexican blood. This is me.
Yeah.
So
how does it feel to be a part of the LGBTQ commission now? Being, Mexican and then just having what is that feeling to you?
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
So one, when we're talking about the powerful women and this powerful, spaces that we're in and things that we can do, I feel all of that. And I think this is what happens with, all of these different hats that we wear, whether it's professional or personal. There are spaces where you're like, I got this. You want to put together a meeting? I ended up chairing one of the last meetings because our chair, Justice, wasn't available. And so now I'm kind of going through this. And, I've I've led meetings before, but this one, that time was a little bit different. So I can put that hat on, I can get it done. And I'm there and I'm secure. But if I go into the neighborhood and speak in Spanish and say, soy parte de la Comisión LGBTQ de Kansas City, it's a whole different world. Not a good one all the time. But then it's also letting guards down a little bit because not everybody, if I'm not saying this bluntly, there are people who hate and are not good people and treat people badly. And they don't treat people, that happens in English and in Spanish.
Yeah.
And so true. Then, again, you're uplifted, you're powerful, you got this. Again, we're sitting here. And then there's pieces inside of you that sometimes crumble out of safety concerns, crumble out of just concerns with reality. And so then for me, that speaks to, even more of the importance of why we do have to be in these spaces.
Yes.
Because maybe I can manage it a little bit more because I do get these moments of I got this. But what happens, talking about future generations, I don't know if this was earlier or not, but, what's going to happen with, when because I want to be retired very soon. It's not going to happen, but I love hearing this retirement conversation. Yes, because once I know, right? Still working, yeah. But so then what happens whenever, and I'm not even saying we're done, like what happens when we're tired? Like if we're real tired.
Mhm.
How do you respond to people? I'm sorry, because you get
That's good.
That's
That's
answer this too. But how do you feel when people tell you that? Like, are you tired or you do too much? Like, I see you.
I am tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. I am tired. And I do say this too. I say this in many other spaces. So anything from me maybe being like the first bilingual mental health first aid instructor. I'll say this a million times. I do not need to be the only one. I do not be the last one. So who else wants to do this? I taught a class here on this Saturday, and I told people, I'm not the only one who needs to be doing this. Who wants to shadow? Who needs the links so you can sign up? And anything from like LGBTQ commission, attend a meeting, see what these things are like. So I think, I know I will be tired. I know I am tired. But until that moment happens, there are so many doors that are being opened by others saying, come on in. You say mentorship. There are people mentoring out here with an official name or not an official name. When someone says, come out here, I'd love for you to join us. Go join.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. It's like in a day, like period. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure it. I mean, and I don't want to be like a downer, but like we will be gone one day. Every one of us. And so then what will be left? What things are going to be passed on? What tools and resources? So we aren't reinventing these things, so that way the letter that you share isn't the only letter that's being shared.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
That's what's important is our legacy. And you find out after you retire, you have more energy because more time because you don't do the things you don't want, and you become more empowered because because people need to step up. Like you said, I don't know how you encourage people to come and start voicing and their concerns and participating in that. That's the hard part in that. But I just think that life's so short. Like you said, we're not going to be here, and it can go like that. So I play hard, work hard, but play hard.
I think like coming from the educational part of it, empowering the parents for me was a big job because a lot of times they felt they didn't have a voice, so I think maybe if we start empowering other people, saying, hey, you do have a voice and what you do say is important. But I'm going to go back on what you were going through. Like for me, as being born here, Chicana, raised, however you want to say it, my dad is from Mexico City. My mom was born here 100 years ago and still alive.
Yes.
On the west side. Wow. And but she went back to Mexico in 1932 during the voluntary deportation. And they went back to Guanajuato because that's where my grandparents are from. But I would always get the question here, well, how do you speak English so well?
Wow.
I'm like, because I was born here, And then on the other side, sometimes when I would go to Mexico, it would be like, what? ¿Qué está diciendo? I'm like, so I was trapped in between both cultures, My Spanish, I would say, is 95% because my mom still speaks Spanish. And my English, of course, I was born speaking English, but my grandparents spoke Spanish. So I know I spoke Spanish because I couldn't communicate with them unless I did. But it was always like, well, it was always, well then, but where are you from? I was born here in Kansas City. No, but where are you from?
Really from?
Well, my dad was born in Mexico. Oh, okay, so you're Mexican, And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm between both worlds here, so, but I carry pride in both of them, I'm telling you. Yeah, both are beautiful.
We're just listening. I'm like taking everything in the same way. And you're a young person, because I know you maybe tell a little bit about your story too, because it kind of resonates with what they're talking about as well. I put you on the spot, but you have a great story too. So yes, well, just become a panelist.
Well, actually, I wanted to bring up a conversation that I actually had with Vicky.
Yes. Come on.
Mm,
She's a journalist. She identifies as a Chicana. And when I was talking to her, she mentioned actually about the Brown Berets and the movement and everything. And because you were saying like you were 10, and I don't know where that came from. And like we were talking about like the impact that it had on young people. And I think that for me, like I have a very strong belief in the power of young people. Like that is where all the power can come from. But it does come from people influencing. Like influence is a huge thing. I think for me, like I didn't have a lot of influence growing up. I think like I had my family, my parents, who were amazing people. But I don't think it was until I got older and like I started working at the LEC that I saw so many people and I hear your stories and like I can relate to so many things. And also like I have my own story of my parents came here in the 80s from Texas, and they had all their children, there's like 8 of us, and we just kind of grew up in communities where we didn't really see a lot of people like us. And we also got a lot of questions of like, where are you really from? And I was like, I don't know, I'm from Kansas City. Like, this is my home. But I think it's so powerful, like just to see people that look like you. And I think something to like push when you're trying to get people in the spots that you're in, because like you said, like I think that's such a powerful thing to notice, is that like I can't be the only one, and like I know I'm not the only person that cares about these things. So like, what are you doing? Like I'm giving you these tools, what are you going to do with it? And like what are the next steps? And like following through and caring about people. I think for me, like there are so many people who saw me and cared enough to be like, you can do this, like here's a seat, and like say something, do something, because everyone else around you is doing that thing too. So I don't know. I don't have any questions, but I just want to say like that it's such a powerful thing, and the influence for sure like it's impactful for generations. Yeah.
Well, I was just at Northeast with Carmen Truex, who is the librarian, the media specialist, and she's amazing. She's from Peru. And they were just handing out the Hispanic scholarship things at every school. And it's so important and I don't think that everybody has to go to a university. To me, if you get a piece of paper that says you are the mechanic, you are the computer person, you are in charge of whatever skill that is. And I think we're missing a lot of skills that people used to do that they don't anymore. So, and the answer doesn't have to be in one method of like a university or a college, because they're so expensive. They're ridiculous. You've got children in college, you know. And so I can't even imagine sending, but that piece of paper opens doors. And whatever that paper is, a welder, just, you know, having your own salon, having, you know, it's just key to open doors. Because I know a lot of the kids that I see, I want to be an influencer. Like, what? Get back in this class. Well, how to influence me.
Well, and and I think I think one of the important things that our young people need, and kind of back to Lexi's point, is one, I think that if we help build people's self-esteem up more. So like we were raised with the idea like no eres más ni eres menos que nadie. You're not better than anybody and you're not less than anybody else. And so then there's also like this slight slippery slope where you can fall into too humble.
Right.
And so then I'm fine, and I'm not that great. I can, and so then like that's why I say like it's a healthy level of self-esteem. So I think if we bring up that healthy level of self-esteem for young people to say, we have a beautiful piece of artwork here, and like, maybe if they didn't do it completely or perfect or whatever, say, I can see the good that you did. Like, oh, I see how you kept up this pattern. Like, let's tell them those good things are happening, because young people might not be told these things. And I think if we pair that with career exploration.
Yes, huge.
Because and I don't know if this was same for others. We're somewhere in the line of kids of immigrants, first, second, whatever it is. But this expectation, and this is what it was for us, it was either you're an attorney, you're a lawyer, or you're a doctor. And then at one point I heard someone in the family say, if you could be a bank teller, because they look so pretty.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of like that go between a doctor, what did I say? A doctor, an attorney, and a bank teller,
Yeah.
Huge
spectrum.
Yes, huge, yes.
Nothing wrong with any of them.
Yeah, and nothing wrong because, where was the career exploration for those adults as well? Because what happens is that, the idea of the United States, white picket fence, the American dream. Well, the American dream is this and it's this and it's this. But, we all know and have met plenty of cool, really awesome people that aren't an attorney, that aren't, all of these other roles or whatever, but maybe they're I don't know, chief operating officer, which maybe we never knew what that was. We're like, oh, so I need blank type of skills or something,
Right.
or if it is the, mechanic, well, it's, small business owned, certified, minority owned business that they're contracted to be able to apply for this RFP, all of these layers upon layers that are all successes. But that title is not something that we normally see across the spectrum of. And that's why representation, when you mention Cheech, representation is more than just, us being in a space. It's like we have this whole awesome inventory, and speaking of Kansas City area, this whole awesome inventory of people in Kansas City, Missouri, and metropolitan area. I want you to stay here. I want you to do good things. But then also, what do you need from us to be able to do those good things?
I like the way that you hit up on the self-esteem, because I see that, I just think that that's so important to encourage, even each other, especially as women, to encourage what we're doing, to encourage our children, and to encourage just whatever somebody's doing, go for it. You've got to try, keep trying. It's just so important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, at that fashion show, it was really nice.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Because
Tell us a little bit about
everybody-
that fashion show and what it was.
Yeah, all the women were just so amazing, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And it was good just to meet other women, other people that did other things, and I felt great. I felt great after that. It was it's really good. And then everybody had their different style.
Oh yeah.
Everybody had something different to bring to the table. And I just felt really good.
Yeah.
I felt really good. And I think that's what we need, like when we meet other women, just pull each other up a little bit, and that I think that was great for me.
Before I go into a little bit more about Pride and the flow in arts tech and all the other amazing things, Sebastian, do you want to? I can't read those. I probably should have got glasses. Lexi, you're coming.
Saludos. There's a wind up.
Saludos.
All right.
Wanda.
Let's see. Oh, wait.
Oh, Eric.
Since Eric, he's still on here. Sorry, we got a little late. But tell us a little bit, Sue, about what's going on with Eric.
Oh
and
my
his
gosh.
life.
I just have always admired what Eric does in the community and how he's mentored and brought these lowrider bike clubs. And he's stationed at and works at Olathe School District. And he works with the students there, and he has a whole program, and it's going nationwide. And he is just so amazing. So I contacted him because I just love those bikes, And so I said, Eric, can you find me somebody that can custom make a lowrider bike that I want to ride in the Pride Parade?
Very cool.
Yeah, I'll help you see, because at first I don't really know Eric that well, but he was so encouraging. Yeah. So his one of his fellow co-workers Ozzy is going to be custom painting it, and I can't wait. And then we're going to take it to California, Riverside, to Cheech's, donating it to Cheech's museum.
Wow.
So it's going to be called the Mighty Mo because it's from Missouri. Okay, but also my last name is Moreno.
Yeah.
Oh. That's my nickname, Mighty Mo. So I thought, hey, But anyway, I want to thank Eric for doing that, and he's been really supportive. And the group of Pride Tina, and through Latino Arts Foundation, last year was the first year that Deanna had come up with the idea of let's enter the Pride float, and we're like, cool, sounds. We didn't know what was going to happen. We had the coolest group of people, and it keeps growing. So if anybody wants to come down on Tuesday to Arts Tech, we're working on the float. The theme this year is a kaleidoscope of people or something like that. And we have fun. And the next time we're meeting, we're bringing little beverages and, and that and happy. But it's good. I met so many cool people through allies. You don't have to be gay, but you can be. And it's not just Latino. It's anybody and everybody that wants to get together and hang out from 6 to 8 at Arts Tech.
Yep, Tuesdays. We're not meeting next Tuesday, the 23rd, but
because
we have Bitty Bitty Brushes, which is a tribute to Selena's birthday, which is a fundraiser for LAF because we need money for. We have an amazing program with the lowrider model cars that actually amped up from last year to this year with many more students, and it's actually our highest and most expensive art mentorship. We need the donations, and so you all came through, and we were donated by Tina, who's the volunteer coordinator, who is the one that supports us in the Pride and many other things. So there's Tina. You have 91.
Hey. We have so much fun. We have so much fun together. No. Be on my bike.
We don't always have to be humble. You can be
All right, let's do it. Well, let's see.
But Tina has been donated the paint boots because we were out here in the wind like today, like trying to paint and trying to get these kids to learn, and it was hard. So thank you, Tina and Ken, for doing that. But next Tuesday and Thursday, it is sold out. It's sold out pretty quickly. We have 59 people at both events supporting Tio Cali. So Enrique Gutierrez, thank you so much. And then my family, Maria and Sandy at La Fonda El Taquito is going to be Thursday night. DJ Monse. We have a mystery MC, DJ Mr. E. Okay, DJ Mr. E. Remember that name because it's a mystery. It's going to come out Thursday, and you will find out who that is. Yeah, with karaoke, and of course the amazing artist Tanya, who owns La Pista, and she does phenomenal work. So we have so many people, and thank you again for that. But yes, that's what we have. Any other comments or just kind of this amazingness?
Some of the other.
Oh, we love you, Tina.
Oh,
and she put a purple heart.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marisa. We appreciate you being
We
here.
need more people getting on this podcast because it's
Hola,
really cool.
Irma. Irma.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Olga, saludos.
Olga, all right.
She had an amazing idea for the float, which we did not go with, but we love her ideas. We absolutely love her. Do you have any questions? Or I want to learn a bit about the brown beret. So we're going to talk about your amazing beret you have on. So can you tell us?
It is.
First of all, when I was trying to research for the event we're having May 2nd, there was a lot of people that didn't want to talk about it. Actually, were a little didn't like the fact that I even posted on Facebook. So it's a very touchy subject, at least for the people that I have interacted with. Vicky Diaz, though, like Lexi mentioned, we interviewed her about it because she did do an article about it, and that's how we found out that this was even here in Kansas City. Okay. So having you here is monumental for us. So can you please let us know a little bit about it?
Like I said, I was very young.
Yeah.
And so I think I was influenced a lot because my sister's 10 years older than me, and she was active in that as well. And so I was just like, wow, this is really cool. And I don't know why it just hit me, because it was somebody who looked like me that was in power, that was trying to help other people. And I know in that Chicano documentary that's called Chicano, it's a 4-part series. But at that time, some of those farm workers were only making like 2 cents an hour. And so that really hit me. I'm like, how could these people be working so hard, and they still do,
Yes.
and make
Definitely.
money like that? That's nothing. And, you know, and then I realized that my grandparents also were working in the fields as well in Texas and in Oklahoma. And because I did a lot of research on my family history. And so it just, I don't know, it was just something that I really wanted to see what it was about. And it made me proud. That was my identity back then, because I didn't even know I was Mexican or Chicano until I saw that. And I was like, so that's what I am? That's what I can call myself? I'm Chicana, you know? Of course, my mom didn't really like that term, but it does come from Mexica, you know, it's from, and I think maybe that's what it was, because during that time, when I was growing up, a lot of people were told not to speak Spanish, you know, and I think that's why a lot of people my age, in a sense, don't, because they were like, no, don't speak Spanish. We're here in America. You need to speak English. And so I think that's where it came from. Maybe that's why they didn't want to talk about that. But
that's very true. That's a lot of the comments I get. It's like, it means little man, and you know, it's very degrading
but
to us. And so I think the brown berets even comes with that. You know, it's like
they were looked upon as like being very militant.
Yes.
And so, but they weren't. They did a lot of good things as well.
A lot of
they
political.
went to college.
Yes.
They were telling people to go to college. Yeah, go ahead.
They were uniting a lot of people. And on the campuses, like you said, at the University of Iowa, my sister is 5 years older than I am. And she was at the University of Iowa, and they were holding demonstrations. The Chicano power and movement was out of Chicago. And they were demonstrating. They wanted to have classes and equal rights of like curriculum that was Chicano centered. They were starting a lot of African-American literature, and that was fantastic, and that's great. A lot of African-American history, but where were we being seen? We weren't. So on campus, that's what they were fighting for, and also for the grapes and the protests of the treatment of people, because we had to go to the fields. My grandfather was picking a migrant worker, and it was the most real experience. As children, we had to go and pick onions just to see how my grandfather grew up, and that's how we ended up in Iowa. And it was a matter of that. I had to go back to school in middle school with yellow hands from chopping onions and smelling like an onion, you know. I'll never forget that, because you know in middle school everybody smells kind of funky anyway, you know.
You don't want to add on that layer of onions.
Onion on top of that, you know. It's like, you know, but yeah, but it was a huge lesson in life that we did not want to have to do this if we didn't have to. We had choices.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with doing it, but we had choices. So coming from a background of migrant workers and people that were, it was huge. But yeah, that influence that my sister had on me she had the brown beret and protest, and that was really.
It was all about identity at that time for me. And it was about being powerful as well. Not in a way like, you know, I'm stronger than everybody, but just being proud of who I was, to be honest with you. Because I would wear this to school.
Yeah.
Wow, I love it.
And in my yearbook, they would always put the Chica Chicana, you know. But yeah, I was just very verbal about having those things in school, but we never did.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I went to the principal. I said, you know, we need to have this. We need to have that. They didn't listen. I protested against the Kansas City Public School District at one time. I got
still
in trouble
don't.
for it, but I still did it. Kind of rebellious, I guess I was. But like I said, I remember writing to my cousin. I was like, I see people like me,
Mm-hmm.
doing things. And then those, like you were saying, having those mentors, Cesar Chavez was a mentor for a lot of people, for civil rights, for equal rights for education, for equal rights to vote, for equal rights to do what you wanted to do, and not feel bad if you wanted to do it. Like the humility. You didn't have to be that little humilde. No, that was your right. That was your right to go to school. That's your right to go to college if that's what you want to do. So yeah, that was a good time for me. And it still is,
Oh, yeah.
I
We
still
talk about it all the
and
time.
I have my shirt on.
Yeah, she's got some good stories.
I still do that. Si se puede.
Mhm.
Yeah, I still am very much, maybe not involved as I used to be, but I am supportive of the United Farm Workers.
Yeah. And
You know,
go ahead.
Yeah, this makes me think so when you start off saying, that there were some people who weren't willing to talk about this, I think like this is what happens. We talked earlier about intersectionality.
Oh, yeah.
There's different pieces and
Mhm.
that we're not a monolith. We're not all the same. When it comes to our experiences, our identity or whatever, this is a way longer conversation, so we're not going to get into all this, but I just think, when you say that parents weren't okay with this, parents wouldn't be okay with young people, even some of the things that young people are saying right now.
Right.
So then, whether, how I think this is, and I've done some advocacy in grassroots organizations. And I think, what definitely comes up a lot is we're all going towards the same goal. We all believe that blank should be a better situation, but where you kind of get into these weeds and you start separating from your group and these ideas is how we get it done. And I think that always just creates these divisions. So then I can see where you having, a great experience, something that was very formative and it was a part of you. And then maybe on the other side, and you don't need to name anyone, but, could it be an age difference? Could it be that, there was us adults that know everything, and nothing against, but I mean, we just anyone at any one of our stages, like this is my belief, and this is, I think we should do this. And I think all of these moments in history, I don't say all of them, because there's some moments that weren't good, but for many times, these experiences that we've had, we can see it with, again, me choosing to get my Mexican citizenship, someone saying that's not the way you do it. You saying, I want to go up to KCMO public schools back then and or now or whatever, but that's not the way you do it.
Ended up working for him.
Yeah. But sometimes that's how you do it. That's sometimes how you do it. You get in there and you do something
There
different.
you go. Infiltrate.
I think at the end of the day, it's like whoever created the right way to do anything, right?
Exactly.
I am, because we all dress differently, right? We all look different, and like you said, the experiences. I think, from what I'm understanding too, is a lot. As I'm older, I wish I hadn't known this earlier, because I think my self-esteem and confidence and identity would have hit me earlier than 40, right? I want my kids to experience that way younger than I ever did. But it's like you figure out that there's somebody out there that needs you just as much as you needed them, because you see that and you can influence, right? And kind of grow because of it. So it was hard for me in Kansas City because I didn't have a lot of, I didn't see a lot of Chicanos or Chicanas. My dad had a band called Los Chicanos. So he was like, for me, it was like, whoa, power, right? You don't say that stuff in Argentine, Kansas. And, like they had a band, right? Exactly. And it's like, where did we lose that power in our family that we couldn't talk about it anymore, right? Yeah, like what happened? And so I think, I don't even know what happened. All I know now is just that I don't ever want to go back that. I want to influence, like, if my kids don't claim they're Chicana, that's okay. Your identity is you. And that's why I don't really get mad at people when they call themselves Chicano, but maybe aren't Mexican American, because I feel like you're taking away someone's own thought of themselves. And who are you to say what you are, right? We're all made for whoever we're supposed to be.
And I think, for me, one thing is that I hear the messaging of not that it was lost, but that you are Mexican, you are from this rancho, this is what you are. And it's like, hey, I'm gay. And then they're like, hi. You know, and then that's only one little bit, right? We start doing all these other things that start to, stray away from what you are supposed to be. So it can happen both ways where, like, you are not this anymore. Turn the switch. This is what you are. Or there's also opportunities, these moments where it's like, and this is what happens with parents, right? That you're supposed to meet up to their expectations and this is what you are. And then you stray away from that. And stray is not a bad way. Like you
Find a different path.
find a cool path, So it's just in that identity, when you say that at 40 or whatever age. So I think also we never finish like putting in concrete what our identity is. I remember I heard from someone not too long ago where they said our essence doesn't change. So
like
you know what?
that.
I'm gonna change my clothes. I'm gonna have a different look. I'm gonna have a current uniform on, like in 2 weeks or something like that, and then this will look different, and tomorrow will look different. But like for real, on the inside. And I think for the most part, it's not too deep. I think that kid that we were, like, it's still there.
Yeah, I'll always be corn-fed from Iowa, and I love that. But then I'm constantly changing and reinventing myself by just reaffirming a lot of things that I want to try and I want to do. But I wanted also to mention some of the other events that are coming up, and we can all share that.
That was a big paragraph, I think.
We didn't bring our readers, huh? Who's got glasses?
Oh, Jocelyn.
All right. Hey, glad everybody's tuning in.
Whoever wants to read it out loud.
Okay.
Because then we're all going to read out loud.
You all have inspiring stories. Some of them sound funny, but also inspiring. Hearing you sound like I need my glasses.
Yeah,
Like I'm
I
hearing my kids.
They always speak more English and Spanish, and I feel like, and I cannot speak. I'm not going to.
And I feel like, ¿lo puedes decir en español? Can you say it in Spanish? Because my English is not good enough. Oh. So the English and the Spanish, I'll say this just because this came up in our class, the mental health first aid class here at Rev. We'll be back again in October, I think it is. Language and communication being a huge part of our identity. And so then, we wish it, I don't want to say wish. Reality is that there are a lot of families. So Irma, there are a lot of families where parents speak one language and kids speak another language. Hay muchas familias donde unos hablan un idioma, los adultos, los jóvenes otro. And this is what we do. We're balancing both. And, this is just another conversation. It's not a parenting thing. It's not, but how do we communicate with others?
Yeah, because things get lost in translation. People feel left out then because communication is huge.
Yeah.
And
one thing I did, and I tell this to everyone. So kids learning Spanish, many times, not all the time, but adults will make fun of kids.
Yes.
That's not how you say it. Even adult to adult, right?
Yes.
That's not how you say it.
Yes.
Stop making fun of people.
Right.
Okay, because I know very few people that are perfect in both languages. And even when you're perfect, there's new terminology we need to learn. So we can always learn more. So anyway, adults, stop making fun of kids. And kids, stop making fun of your parents if they don't speak Spanish or speak English the right way. I mean, because it just ends up shaming each other.
Right.
And so then we
You
don't
don't
even
wanna
try
speak
the
it.
other language because you made fun of me last time. Adult to kid, kid to adult. Let's stick to what I'm not being made fun of. And no, home should be a place, or a community, whatever home is. Home should be a place where you, where you're accepted. Because we're going to continue to evolve and
That's right.
find new phases and find new words. But God, let's make places more home.
Ours.
Yeah, and can I add a little bit, because this is my personal experience. I don't know if it's anyone else's, but people always say, well, you can learn. But that brings on the whole impact of people learn different, right? I was not very good in school. I think I've mentioned this in one of my podcasts. I was the last student, 301. That was Deanna Marquez. I always knew it was 1.0, terrible at school. But so to learn anything now, there's just no way I can comprehend it. There's no way that I can keep it. I was pretty good at Spanish when I was in high school. I kind of kept it a little bit, but you have to keep going, right? And I didn't have anybody at home because for them, they grew up in the age of like, you don't speak Spanish, like you just learn
Right.
English, we become one of them, and they had their own. Now I know their stories, and it's very painful and hurtful because it's like I hate that my parents had to go through that. But then now realizing, of course, yeah, and it's one of those things that I never want my children to have to go through. They're bilingual. They speak very good Spanish, and I can't understand, and I can't be a part of that, right? Because I don't know. And it's not that they make fun of me or anything like that, but I think it's the outside world that makes you feel less than, because and again, I think it's just the whole education thing. It's like not everybody can learn.
Or I think it could also be because you're not meeting up to my expectation.
Yes.
Right.
And so then
right.
it's stop it.
Yeah.
I say we do that too much. Like we already have great things that we can contribute. And I do say that, so then welcome that in. But then I'd also say, if we do get to a point where like we say, I do want to learn more, then it's not our job to say to say, you can do it.
Yeah.
It could be something like, how can I help? How can I help?
That makes a huge difference.
Because
Just
maybe
tilts
it's
the whole conversation instead of negative. It's like, okay, let's look into this. Let's explore this.
And it's the same in Spanish, because when I was working in Kansas City, Kansas for truancy, I would speak Spanish, and I would start off all the time and saying, please forgive me. Perdóname, pero no puedo hablar español 100%. And this one lady, because it was all Spanish, kind of looked at me like, I don't know, she gave me a weird face. But anyway, by the end of the class, I went up to her, I said, why did you make that face? And she said, porque yo pensé que era muy chocante, que no querías hablar español. And I was like, no, I'm not stuck up. It's just that.
Oh, that's why she didn't think you were speaking Spanish?
I said,
God.
no. I said, it's just that, some words I don't say correctly all the time. But if you watch that Chicano series, during that time, they told people they couldn't speak Spanish. I said, and that's why. And I said, and that's why a lot of Chicanos don't speak Spanish. It's because you have to look back in history to know where you're at.
Yeah.
You always got to look back so you can look forward. But so those films are very, very important, I think.
We got to find those.
And
I'm hoping.
It does say,
Yeah.
Well, and that's why these are important. Like, I'm just so glad, like, we didn't even know really what was going to come of this. We had a little bit of topics, but look how much we've engaged and brought to the forefront. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Christy. Absolutely. I mean, I think better in numbers. I mean, that community is what helps. Just like this community is what helps be able to share the story a little bit. So let's start with Sue talking about all the events coming up. And then at the end, I'd love, and Lexi, if you have anything that you want to add too, like just what you would tell any viewer out here, like anything you'd love to tell them about anything we talked about, or if you have anything too you want to add that you could add on to the question.
I'll let you go.
Okay, well, I want to start with, once again, thank you. And thank you for coming. Because like I just asked them and they were like, yeah, sure, I'd love to. I was like, yes. Yes, because I just feel it's really important to include as many people as possible. And so in April, the Kemper is having a queer panel. There's an exhibit up there by Sarah Zapata, and there is an archives at UMKC that Stuart Hines is giving, and they're asking for anybody to come. And I'm a part of that panel because of Womantown, and I had donated all of the different photographs. That's why it's so important to document when you meet, who you're with, things like that, because eventually that does become a part of our history. So we'll be doing that in Thursday, April, I think that's the 24th or something. And then also go to the Nelson and see the layered presents. That's going to be there. And of course, Cinco de Mayo is coming up in May, and there's a lot of Chicano events coming up. So go ahead and take that away.
Go ahead. You want to?
No, I was gonna say we have a flyer for.
Oh yeah, there we have flyers. So our event is May 2nd. Sorry, I know you're like cue you. There you go. Yo Soy Chicano is happening, and we have amazing speakers here. And I love to invite all of you back. Like, and this is very what we're trying to do now is just more audience engaged. So it really is just very comfortable. Become who you are. Ask all the questions. I think at the end of the day, we don't give our audience enough room to ask those questions, because that really is where like the depth of the conversation comes from. So love, even like with the brown berets, like need it. Please, yes. And we have the Guadalupe Center artists who made some phenomenal Chicano art. So May 2nd here at LEC, and then we want to shout out Maddie Rhodes, who's doing Chicano style, right? I think they're still planning it, right? But it's May 3rd.
Yes.
So there's the flyer right there, but more information to come. Just save the date for sure. So that's an evening time, I believe, that usually happens, right? Yeah. So yes. Any questions?
Kansas City, Kansas is having events.
Oh, Edgar Galicia with Central
and
Avenue
really
Betterment
big.
Association.
So
Yes.
go to as many events as possible and participate.
Juarez Car Club on Sunday, May 5th at Shawnee Mission, Kansas. And then there was, La Plaza Tattoo is having one in the West Side. So they're having a car show. And Guadalupe Centers is having theirs too. So yes, all weekend.
All weekend.
I think so too. But oh yes, tonight's events. Our featured artist Vince Medellin. So he has some Chicano art across the street at 2202 at PH Coffee. Please come 6 to 8 o'clock. Yes, but do you want to ask the last question?
Yeah.
So just what would you want to share with anyone and the viewers?
Yeah, I guess I'll start here so you can get ready with your answers. I would just say that, when I was younger and up until teens and 20s, I thought Kansas City sucks. I hate this place. I mean, I think like so many young people would say, right? This is stupid. There's nothing happening here. There's good things happening. There's good things happening in Kansas City. There's good things that we can create in Kansas City for those things that we don't see ourselves identified with. So anyways, Kansas City does not suck. We need the good, awesome inventory of people that we have here in Kansas City to do amazing things, to participate in amazing things. Every little piece that we're contributing as far as our presence is extremely valuable. So please enjoy our city, help make our city better. Whether you're listening in on a commission meeting, whether you're applying for something, whether you're the one calling 311 because there's trash that they keep throwing in your neighborhood, like right by mine, keep calling 311, do what you need to. But Kansas City is more than just the fun stuff that we sometimes see that a select group of people get to go to.
Yes,
like we have really cool stuff every day. So just Kansas City is a good place, and it's a good place because of the people that we have here. So I just want to say thank you.
Sally, can I add on to this question real quick? Shout out 1, 2, 3 people that maybe never get the shout outs that you would love to just shout out here on the podcast.
For me, I think a lot of times we already get to see these big names, but just because I've been talking to her this past week, Josefina Cabrera, and her business with their family, her and her sons, they have 2 different businesses. I'll find her pages, please, yes, and I'll put them in here. Pero Josefina, saludos, gracias por todo lo que hace aquí. Su muchacha, I guess I'll say this, she's already said it publicly. Her daughter was shot at the parade, and then they've kept going. They're there, but they're an awesome family business located here in Northeast, and they do landscaping. And so then saludos, Josefina, saludos para toda su familia.
I love that. That's why I like we had a shout out. Yes.
Shout out to Adriana Pacina. I just love her. Let's go ahead and let's go down the list. Let me get it out. Tina, from our voluntary chairperson at the LAF, and all of the Latino and Latina educators. I think that they need to have that pat on the back, and then also make sure to hug yourself. Love yourself first.
And anything you'd like to tell the viewers?
Just keep on keeping up. Keep showing up. That's so important. Just show up. You don't even have to be involved. Show up. Be there. Find your voice.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know it goes back to the Cheech thing, but I just met so many young people. That was really inspiring to me. That was very inspiring to me because I was like, what? They're how old? Just young. So I just want to give a shout out to all the young, upcoming Chicano Latin American artists and just young people in general, because your presence was great. It was great meeting it, very refreshing. So just keep it up.
Yeah. Love it. Any shout outs?
Oh, just to the young people.
All
Yeah,
right.
the young people. Yeah.
From youngins.
Okay. Do you have more comments? Or no? We don't want to dismiss anybody, but
We need to bring our glasses next
my
time.
daughter's telling me all speak Spanish, and she did until she was 4, and then she lost it because they stopped
Yeah.
talking to her in Spanish. When I asked her dad to teach
teach her more.
he told to do it. I don't speak Spanish, so it's hard even with those who speak Spanish. You don't want to educate those who want to learn. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, maybe that'll come out of this. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
have people start getting together and just having drinks and speaking Spanish together.
We can all get together.
Yeah.
That was on here that has this.
Oh, well.
Absolutely. And then my kids are autistic, so they start.
He always
I don't know if we can read that.
Yeah. Yeah. So my kids are autistic, so they start their therapy always in English, but nobody understands how difficult it is for us to get our goals because everything is family goals. I will say this is why we need more bilingual, multilinguals in mental
Yes.
health professions,
Yes.
in clinical care, direct care, service providers, because one, we can speak both languages, but then also we bring in the cultural context into these spaces.
Absolutely agree with that.
Cool.
Oh, hey, Diana. Hey. Yeah. Yeah, this is my cousin. Shout out, cousin.
That's it. Perfect. Okay, that great ending. And thank you all so much. I know this was like last minute and just coming on and showing up, like Sue said, that means so much. And as you can
Yes, it
see,
does.
I think even beyond this, we'll share it. So please reshare, and then that way others can see the context, because you guys did phenomenal. Lexi too, thank you so much for being here with us, because it just means a lot. So this is it. We appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll be on again in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Break it down.